You're listening to the Annuity Agents Podcast with Anthony Owen. Anthony is the co-founder of a $20 million per year annuity agency, president of Annuity Agents Alliance and Annuity Innovation Systems, co-founder of Safe Money Radio Marketing, and monthly contributor to Think Advisor. Each week, Anthony and his partners at Annuity Agents Alliance update you on the annuity business with marketing, sales tools, sales process, and case design strategies. Before we get started, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss information that will help you build your annuity business.
Hello, everyone. This is Anthony Owen, president of Annuity Agents Alliance, and today we have a very special guest with us, a celebrity, so to speak, in the industry. And we have Tom Hegna with us, and he's the former senior executive officer at New York Life, retired lieutenant colonel, nationally recognized economist. He has over 5,000 seminars, helping baby boomers and seniors retire the optimal way, has condensed a large amount of his considerable knowledge into 5 books, has a popular public television special, Don't Worry, Be Happy, which is also the name of his most recent book, and has played in over 80 million homes in the US and Canada. Tom is considered nationally as the retired income expert and specialist in creating a simple, powerful solution based on math and science. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this in my highlight reel, Tom, to have you on my podcast. It's so great to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Anthony. It's good to be with you.
So I thought I'd just start off. I mean, we met for the first time back in 2020. March of 2020, we had our top agent conference at the Denver International Airport West in there, over 170 agents. And I think I remember buying you a drink in the in the hotel lobby there. But how clueless were we about what was about to happen over the next couple of years? Did you ever think we'd be doing this? And we're going to have you again as our keynote speaker this coming March, again in March 2nd at the same venue. And thank you so much for doing that. Did you ever think we'd be doing massive public gatherings again here?
Well, I figured eventually we would. I'm trying to semi-retire, so I'm doing a lot of it virtually. But I still do some in-person events. But I'm for 30 years I traveled 200 days a year on the road, and I'm just not going to do that anymore. So
yeah.
And what was interesting is right before COVID happened, I was starting to move my stuff to the cloud. In fact, my wife even said, "Gee, why are you so wrapped up in this?" I said, "No, this is what the top people do. They move their stuff to the cloud." So when it happened, I was virtual. So I was ready to go on day one. And I actually had the best year I ever had in 2020, the year of COVID, because other people weren't really ready. I was fully ready. And so I got a lot of business that year.
Yeah, that's funny. I did the exact same thing. I just moved to Salesforce, moved to Ring Central, OneDrive, and then I hired an employee right before this all started, and I had to move them virtual within a week. And I was like, thank God I did that. I mean, I didn't see it coming, of course, nobody did, but just happened to get lucky on that. It's been a tough couple years for a lot of agents, and of course our clients and seniors, and some tragedies along the way there. But we managed to actually grow during this time too, because we, as an organization, have never been dependent on workshops. We do radio, and thank you so much, by the way, for participating in our radio program and helping our agents with that. What have you been seeing in the industry that has helped agents get through this time? And, now that we're transitioning out of this pandemic, hopefully we don't get another one, right? What are you seeing going forward? What do agents need to be doing right now as we come out of this pandemic and can come back to some level of normalcy in this business?
Yeah, well, I do think virtual is going to continue. That and the agents and advisors that were able to move to do Zooms and to do their business virtually, they were the ones that thrived, and the ones that kind of held back. Oh, it's technology. I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
I think they're the ones that struggle, and so I think regardless that we're in person and everything, I think some people now still just want to do virtual stuff. They don't necessarily want you to come over their house, or they don't want to
Right.
drive somewhere. They want to do it virtually, and it's so much more efficient. And so I think we're going to be in this situation where it's kind of a hybrid, where some people want to meet face to face, some people want to do it virtually, and I think the advisors need to be ready for that and be able to handle either way. And then I think things like having a radio show, very powerful. Things like using the Baby Boomer Dilemma, the movie, and we've had agents who tie in the radio show and then they invite people to the movie. I mean, that ties in really well together.
Yeah.
I teamed up with Jeremiah Demaray at Advisorist, and we put some of my webinars. I've got 4 or 5 webinars that are running 7 days a week, 24 hours a day that advisors can use. They just send people to this site, and my one call to action is that they sit down with the advisor that invited them to this webinar. And the people think it's live. It looks live. They can chat. There's chat going back and forth. It's a very sophisticated system. But I think these are like, the 21st century marketing strategies that you have to be different. You just can't do a mailer and then follow up with a phone call anymore. I mean, you've got to be in this digital age. You have to have a social media presence. I think the advisors who have good social media presence, who are posting consistently, you don't have to post 20 times a day, but you got to post it 1 time a day. And if you can just get into this digital world, you're going to find that your business is going to be easier because people will be looking for you.
Yeah. And we're doing that. We actually have the asset annuity.com, and we're using the content of annuity.com to post on social media sites for our agents, and tying that all together and tracking and everything. It's funny you mentioned the pivot, because I have a partner, close friend of mine, one of my top agents, over 70 years old. In fact, I don't want to say over 70. He might have just turned 70, but he pivoted during this time and is doing just as much production virtually. And it's just amazing to see. I mean, if a 70-year-old who is admittedly not super computer illiterate is able to do it, it really leaves no excuse for the rest of us. And I think, how would you measure, where do you think we are right now as far as opportunity with annuity and life insurance sales?
Well, I don't think the opportunity has ever been greater. I mean, look at what's happening with the markets. Now, today it's up, yesterday it's up. But I mean, this market, I think it's a bear market rally. I think the market's going to go back down a little bit until it bottoms at, some point when they, the qualitative tightening hasn't even really happened yet, and they printed all this money. Now they're basically going to shred $5 trillion through quantitative tightening. Markets are going to be volatile. I think in times of uncertainty, what people crave is certainty. Mm-hmm. Besides that, you've got the debt blowing up. We're over $30 trillion in debt. It's climbing $4 billion every single morning. There's $200 trillion of unfunded obligation for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, government pensions, military pensions. Taxes are going to have to go up. It's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's a math problem. Okay. We need a math party. We need a party that can actually add and subtract, because the people I follow say taxes are going to have to go up a lot. For most people, they're going to have to double, and for some people, they're going to have to triple. And I mean, when you start figuring that out with inflation, higher taxes, man, you've got to have some certainty in that portfolio.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, Paul Dietrich, a renowned economist, was one of our keynote speakers at that conference too. And we just got his memo a couple of months ago, and he moved all his clients to cash or cash equivalents. So he's seeing this as another downturn over the next year and a half. It's so important to, the way I see it right now. I mean, I kind of fell into this business by accident. I spent 15 years in PNC, and then started selling life insurance and cross-single annuities. I didn't even know what the baby boomer bubble was. I didn't even know what age group that was or anything. But then as my sales went up and I could see that I was growing along with the industry, I saw a trend, or I started paying attention to it. And so be very fortunate just falling into this business at the right time, but that's accelerating. I mean, like you said, the market crash, I'm seeing sales go through the roof. We had the largest month in July of all months, which is typically a down month for us, largest month in our entire company in July. And the carriers are backed up with processing and everything. What would you say, right now it's so important with all the activity going on to hit that center of the target, the core things that allow you to be the most productive you can. What would you say are some of the top 2 or 3 things that agents should be doing right now to take advantage of all the momentum and everything that's going on right now?
Well, I think now is the time to get your activity level up high. You want to be seeing, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people a day face to face, whether that's virtual or face to face. So prospecting continues to be one of the biggest challenges. And that's where, again, I think having a radio show can help, using that baby boomer dilemma, using some of these webinars. What I encourage advisors to do is have multiple streams of revenue. Yes, you still want to do your normal thing and you want to be out there seeing people and writing business, but why don't you have some things going up in the cloud 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that are bringing revenue? And you could be, having movie night 2 nights a month. You could have webinars 2, 3 times a month, in addition to everything that you're doing. And all this stuff is set on autopilot. So you don't even have to worry about it. You just kind of set it, forget it. And I just think having multiple revenue streams could be very valuable. The other thing is, I think advisors really need to understand the products they sell. The problems are some of these people are saying things that are not true about the product. You need to know what is guaranteed, what is not guaranteed, what are the fees, how does the reset work, how does the cap work, how does the, whatever formula the index uses, it's uncapped. Okay, but what index is it using, and how is that index, with the volatility, they do things with the volatility buffers or whatever, but you need to understand what's in it, because what's dangerous is when people are out there talking about stuff that they really don't know about. So it's time to really understand your products, know your stuff inside and out. And then if you have 1 or 2 major competitors, know their stuff better than those advisors know it. I mean, right. I always use the example when I was an agent, at the time I was with MetLife, and we were selling, mortgage protection, which is annual renewable term at the time. And I was doing pretty well, but I was losing some cases to another company. And I had a friend at that company, and I said, hey, give me an illustration of for a 30-year-old male or whatever. And I looked at it and I found they had a lower first year premium, but their premium was higher 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And once I learned that, I never lost another case. And so sometimes I think advisors say, oh, that product or that company, they're a big competitor of mine. We'll find out what they have and what the weaknesses are, because every product typically has a weakness or 2. So know your stuff, and then know your major competitor stuff would be something I would recommend.
Yeah. And that falls right into what you talk about is total preparation, right? We have something called a 5-step sales process. And the first step is selling a fact finder. Like, if you can't get a client to provide you all their information, what chance do you have to do anything else? And I see that all the time where, here's a premium, what product should I put it in? How in the heck am I supposed to know? Do a fact finder. And then through that fact finder, we have something called selling and commitment to the problem. The client has to agree to a problem, and then you present a solution to that problem. And if they don't agree to a problem, how are they going to agree to a solution? What I see in this industry is they go from straight to premium to product, which is a huge mistake, right? And you're a master at asking questions. So what are some of the questions that you would use with clients to try and help agents get into that fact-finding process where they could sell to the problem and sell to the solution rather than going to product?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, stop trying to sell a product. Don't be a product pusher. Be a problem solver. Ask the right questions. And just some questions I would ask, hey, tell me what you know about annuities and how they work. And if they say, well, I hate annuities, then you've got other work to do before you go make a presentation. Yeah. I do a lot of speaking, and when I get done, people come up to me all the time and they say, well, Tom, that's good, but what should I do with my money? I don't even know this person. How am I going to tell them what to do with their money? But I say, let me ask you 2 questions. And if you can answer these 2 questions, I can probably help you. Number 1, what do you want your money to do for you while you're alive? And number 2, what do you want your money to do when you die? And if you think about it, if they can clearly answer those 2 questions, you can probably come up with a solution. If they say, well, I need income for this while I'm alive, and then when I'm dead, I want the money to go first to my wife and then to my kids. Well, then you can start putting together a plan for them. But when it comes to life insurance, hey, tell me what your thoughts are around term insurance, or what are your thoughts around cash value life insurance? Where did you learn about life insurance? Those would be some. And then if they called you up and they said they wanted a $250,000 term policy, say, you called me up, you wanted a $250,000 policy. How did you come up with $250,000? You want to know what they're thinking, because if you can know enough about their thoughts, then you can make a very powerful presentation that handles all of their concerns. But if you don't know what's going on in their head and you just go in and make a presentation, they might have all kinds of other things going on that you never found out about. And now your sales process is shot. So I think it's so important to ask a lot of questions. Ask them about their background. Ask them about their parents, their brothers, their sisters. I used to use the fact finder as also another prospecting tool. Hey, are your parents still alive? Where do they live? What do they do? Do you have any brothers and sisters in the area? I'm not going to call them up the next day, but I have it in my file, and maybe 6 months or a year later, I'm going to say, I was going through your file and I see that your brother or sister's in the area. Maybe I could, meet with them. And those are those. So just ask a lot of questions. And, I've written 5 books. One of the books that I think is the best for questions is book number 2, Retirement Income Masters, Secrets of the Pros. What I did with this book is I went out and I talked to like 12 different retirement experts. Each chapter's their story. So this book isn't about me or my thoughts at all. It's all about these top producers, each chapter, and they have some great questions in there. There's another book. Let me see if I can see it. Man on a Mission by Marv Feldman. Here it is, Man on a Mission. You get yourself a copy of Man on a Mission. This thing probably has 200 questions in there, 150 questions. So I would get really good at asking questions. I think that is one of the key things. The best salespeople in the office are the ones who ask the best questions and tell the best stories. It's all about words, language, questions, and stories.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about life and death, because we have something called purpose of money planning, where the question goes, where you ask the client, what is the purpose of this money? And the client will usually say something like, I want it to grow. And then we tell the client, growth is not a purpose, it's a function. Everybody wants their money to grow, but there's only 2 purposes for money: life and death. You're going to use it while you're alive, or you're going to use it while you're dead. If you use it while you're alive, it's called income. If you use it while you're dead, it's called legacy. And so that's kind of like one of the lead-ins to our fact finder. One of the things I see too, and you're great at this, and a lot of our guys use your books, by the way, tons of them. I mean, thousands probably at this point of your customized books. And so anybody that's listening should definitely be looking at your books and getting them customized and using them. Why hand out a business card when you can hand out a book by Tom Hegna that quotes all these experts and helps you sell the client? And one of the things you do really well in your books is appeal to the emotion. I mean, you talk about happiness, right? And one of the things we can do as agents is we can become so knowledgeable that we become robotic and forget about the emotional sale, right? So tell us about how the happiness concept and the emotional concept of selling annuities is so important.
Yeah, well, there have been numerous studies, that show people who have annuities and guaranteed income are happier than people who don't. The Wall Street Journal had the headline, "The secret to a happier retirement is friends, neighbors, and a fixed annuity." So, the Wall Street Journal published it. Time Magazine, Lifetime Income Stream, Key to Retirement Happiness. Towers Watson did a whole study. They're not even in the insurance industry. And they found that the people who had annuities were happier than the people that didn't. And then people question that. I say, well, who are your happiest retired clients? I'll bet it's your retired military, retired government, retired teacher, teacher, retired professor, retired policeman, retired firefighter. Why? They've got pensions. And what are pensions? They're lifetime income annuities. And so people with guaranteed income are happier. And now the research shows they're likely to live longer as well. Freakonomics just did a thing. If people follow me on social media, I post all this stuff. So Freakonomics recently posted something and I shared it. It was a University of Chicago study that studied people who bought lifetime income annuities versus people who didn't. And they found the people that bought the annuities lived longer than the people that didn't. And it's not because I think I can read the exact quote. Let me see if I got it here. I keep this stuff here. Yeah, let me read it to you. This is from Freakonomics. Research shows that people who buy annuities tend to live longer, and not just because they're the kind of people that have the money to buy annuities to start with. It's apparently that little extra incentive of the annuity payout that keeps people going. And so just knowing that they're getting a paycheck, and then Patrick Trickery's an attorney. He wrote an article in the Journal for Financial Service Professionals. The title of the article was "Annuities and Moral Hazard: Can Longevity Insurance Increase Longevity?" And here's what he found. In the United States, a 65-year-old male who purchases a life annuity can expect to live about 20% longer than a 65-year-old male who does not. And the whole rest of the article explained why people who have guaranteed income tend to live longer. They have less stress. They don't worry. The market's down 40%. Guess what? They're playing another 18 holes of golf with their buddy. And because they're being paid to live, guess what? Many of them choose to live differently. They watch what they eat. They exercise. They call the doctor when they're not feeling well. And all these dumb little things cause them to tend to live longer. Now, there's nothing new about this. As you know, annuities have been around for thousands of years. The Roman Empire issued annuities, but many people had to read a book called Sense and Sensibility. It was written by Jane Austen back in 1811. Let me read you a section of chapter 2. If you observe, people always live forever when there's an annuity to be paid to them. The annuity is a very serious business. It comes over and over every year, and there is no getting rid of it. She wrote that in 1811.
Wow, that's incredible. When it comes to, it's great to talk about those things in sense of, the facts. What I find, here's one thing I do. I grew up in Hawaii most of my life. And so one of the things I do, I used to be a charter boat captain out of Lahaina, swimming, with tourists and running snorkel charters and spearfishing with my brothers every night. And I found that when I moved to the mainland, one of the first things I do if I'm trying to make an introduction to someone is tell them I'm from Hawaii, because immediately they start thinking about wanting to go there, or they start thinking about the last time they're there, right? And it's all great thoughts. They're thinking about the palm tree they're under, the cool breeze and the sunsets. Why don't we do that as agents, right? Why don't we take those concepts of what you call longevity credits and not outliving your money? And I see too many times we're not bringing that emotional, we're not helping people experience the palm tree of guaranteed lifetime income. And your books do that really well. What recommendations, how would you, maybe agents aren't naturally good storytellers, or they tend to be analytical. How can they make that pivot where they bring the emotion into the analytical annuity sale?
Well, I think you got to have a process, and all of my slides are available, and a lot of advisors use my slides. They put them on their iPad and they just flip through them, or they print out the key ones and they put them in a playbook, because all the quotes I read are on slides. I mean, you can have these slides. And the other thing I think is so important is to use disinterested third-party references, because see, the agents have a conflict with their clients, conflict of interest, because if the client buys, they get paid. If they don't buy, they don't get paid. Well, guess what? I don't get paid whether the client buys or not. Dr. David Babel doesn't get paid whether they buy or not. Dr. Wade Pfau, Dr. Michael Finke, and so use these disinterested third-party. Wall Street Journal doesn't get paid. Forbes. All of these third-party articles and white papers and like my books, and you can put your name and picture on my book. That's what you're talking when you do custom books. If a person doesn't like annuities, guess what? You can't change their mind. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. But guess what? The Wall Street Journal might be able to change his mind. Dr. Wade Pfau might be able to change his mind. I might be able to change his mind. So use people and products that don't have anything to do with the sales process. We don't get paid where they do it. Use that. That's more powerful than you trying to convince them to buy an annuity, because they know you're going to get paid. You've got an interest in it. I don't have an interest in it. Neither does Dr. Wade Pfau or Dr. Michael Finke. So there are tools you can use, whether you want to build a playbook, whether you want to have it electronically on an iPad. Again, all my slides are available. And if you're having trouble with stories, I've got free webinars at tomhegna.com/webinars. Listen to some of the stories that I tell, and you can borrow stories. And I tell people, you can get a copy of this Retirement Income Master Secrets of the Pros, borrow some stories out of there. You don't have to have your own stories. You can always borrow stories and just say, hey, here's a story, or here's what Tom Hegna says, or here's what, one of the guys, Joe Jordan says. We use the resources that are available out there, and then put those disinterested third-party references and quotes and white papers in front of the client. That can change their mind.
Yeah, and also maybe do something about your own conviction level. There's three pivotal epiphanies, I'll call them, influenced by people like you, that changed my life financially. And in 2007, I had over $100,000 in credit card debt, and which is a lot, plus a house, plus a car debt, everything financed. And through some influences, I really decided to get out of debt. I mean, I sold everything. And then the other thing that really helped me with my finances is I decided to live on a very small percentage of my income. I mean, a very small percent. Today, it's around 10% of my income. And then the third thing that influenced me was you. And you own 11 annuities, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, I'm just about to buy my 11th annuity. And apparently that's the magic number, because that will give my wife and I enough income to live on that we will never live below an income level that we don't want to live below. And I see around $500 million in production annually go through our business. And I am astonished, absolutely astonished, how few policies where the client and the agent have the same name. And why is it that, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but this is a huge mistake, right? For agents not to be buying their own product.
Yeah, how can you sell $1 million policy if you don't have $1 million policy? And how can you, sell all these annuities if you don't own them? And when I was an agent, I used to carry my policy with me. Let me show you what I did, and I'll show you why I did it. And I explained my thinking behind it. And I'd had a lot of people say, you know what, that makes sense to me. I want to do that too. Dr. David Babel in the movie Baby Boomer Dilemma, disclosed he owned 14 annuities. So I'm still got a ways to go. But I've been shifting more of my personal wealth to life insurance, cash value life insurance. When I was 50, I bought a 12-pay $5 million custom whole life policy. The annual premium is $226,000, and it's got a paid up additions right where I can put in up to another $200,000 a year. So I'm seriously putting serious cash, but it's going to be able to give me, significant tax-free income in retirement for the rest of my life. And I think giving people tax-free income, just many of those 11 annuities are Roth IRA income annuities. So those are all going to come to me tax-free. Then my life insurance money is going to come to me tax-free. And I think all these people who have their money in 401ks, they're going to be shocked when the market goes down and taxes go up, how small, even if they got $1 million, then they get 250,000 of it, they're going to be pretty sad. I think, I just think there's going to be some big problems with 401ks down the road.
Yeah, I've been converting I put all my SEP money into annuities, and I've been slowly converting them to Roth, trying to manage the tax situation there. Let's switch over to long-term care. You're probably one of the world's most prominent promoters of long-term care products. We do a lot of income doublers with our income writers. We've been really trying to push a lot of these asset-based hybrid LTC products. And we have about 7 different carriers. In fact, one of our agents in Texas is the #1 agent for these LTC products in all of Texas. But sometimes I feel like I'm steering a freighter instead of a speedboat. It is so hard to get agents to sell these life insurance or annuity-based LTC products. I mean, you talk about this Cadillac plan that you have for your own LTC policy, but that's somewhat unattainable today for a lot of clients. What can we do to get this industry more focused on LTC and start selling these, simplified issued hybrid products that can double or triple premium for the purpose of 2 out of 6 ADL LTC?
Yeah. So I say long-term care is the #1 thing that most people forget about. They can wipe out their entire life's work. No retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. Now, I wish everybody bought and sold long-term care insurance, but that's probably not realistic because those premiums can tend to be fairly high. And if you don't need long-term care, then the people feel like they've wasted their money. They haven't,
Right.
because it's no different than your car insurance or homeowners insurance. But I do think the hybrid, the life insurance with a long-term care rider is going to fit for many people, because that one product solves 3 things. #1, it's an emergency fund, because most of those products have money back guarantees.
Yep.
If you need the money, you get it out. #2, if you don't need long-term care, you've got a leverage death benefit that goes tax-free to your heirs. But if you do need long-term care, there's a significant amount of money, a big bucket of money that can be used for long-term care. So I think it does 3 things, and your money's not gone, if you don't need the care. If they can't qualify medically, if they can't qualify for long-term care insurance, if they can't qualify for life insurance, that's when I think the annuities come in there with the doublers and triplers or whatever those things are. But any plan is better than no plan. But it's up to the advisors to really recommend this, and don't wait for somebody to call you. See, the reason most advisors hate to write long-term care insurance is because they've had a bunch of cases decline. The person calls up, say, "Hey, I'd like to buy some long-term care insurance." So they drive out there, they fill out an application, they send it in, declined. Well, of course it's declined. If they are calling you to buy long-term care insurance, guess what? It's because they're having a problem, they're having an issue, and the kids say, "Mom, you better go get some long-term care insurance." That's too late. You've got to talk to people in their 40s and 50s. If you talk to people in their 40s and 50s, they're young, they're healthy, they can afford it, and the premium is lower too. So I think it's something we got to talk to people when they're younger, okay? If you wait till they're 70, 75, 80, good luck. Your chances are pretty slim when they get that old, because by the time people are 70 or 80, I think I just saw something where people over the age of 60 on average have at least 1 chronic condition they're dealing with. Once they're 65, it's 2 chronic conditions. And once they're over age 80 or 85, it's 3, plus there's dementia and Alzheimer's and all this other stuff. So you got to get people before they have serious problems with their health.
Yeah. And a lot of our agent partners are more focused on the annuity business. So their demographic tends to be, 50 and above, but we have some great products out there today. I mean, simplified issue, telephone interview, accept, reject, and some very liberal underwriting. So,
and the advisor should say, "Look, we'll try to get this life policy through. I can't guarantee it's going to go through, but if it doesn't, we've got this, and this is really good too." And I would always. I just wouldn't go in with just one solution. I would say, "Look, this is step 1 and this is step 2, and just let them know that there can be issues in underwriting, and it's common. It happens all the time. Don't get mad. It's the way it is. We'll try for this. If we can't get this, we get this. They're both great solutions, and that's the way I would handle it."
Yeah, and we have an expert staff here that is just keyed up and ready to help agents with their LTC. We do all the underwriting, all the illustrations, all the case design work on that. So that is a needle we're trying to move for sure. Well, Tom, I just want to say, first of all, we appreciate you. We appreciate you so much, not just for what you're doing for the industry, but all the resources that you've brought to our partners and our marketing organization. I mean, being part of our radio show and being a voice on our radio marketing system has really been a huge benefit to our agents. Thank you for coming to our conferences. I know we had to twist your arm to get you to show up personally, but we're so appreciative of that. Maybe just take a moment, tell everybody where they can find you. I mean, I'm sure they know where to find you, but where's the best place to get a hold of your resources, buy your custom books, and get everything that can help someone in their business?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty easy to find, tomhegna.com. The custom books are on there. It's one of the tabs or one of the little things down there. You can always reach us at 855-TOM-HEGNA, support@tomhegna.com, info@tomhegna.com. Those are all places you can go. I have a free YouTube channel. But I would say this. I think it's so important for advisors to do things a little different than they did 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Having a radio show. And if you think it's really hard, I mean, Anthony, you guys make it so easy for them. You literally do a lot of the work for them. And then they can have guests like me and other guests that are already pre-recorded that they can use. So, I mean, you do make it very easy for them. They should get involved with social media. I mean, that's, I had to buy baby lists. I had to buy new home lists. I had to buy all these lists now, if you get 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 followers, you just watch your feed. Oh, we had a baby. Oh, my mom died. Oh, I got promoted, and you just, then that's a time to call. Those are life events. Call them when they're having life events. Use things like the baby boomer dilemma, the webinar method. There are ways to do this business that you can get your life back. That's why I moved my business to the cloud. I now have my life back. I play golf 4 to 5 days a week. I played pickleball right before I had this session, and I've got my life back. And so, but while I'm doing that, I've got things going in the cloud 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So revenue's coming in, and advisors can do that too. Like I said, you could have movie night a couple of days a week. You can have the radio show. You can have the webinar method. Then you go out and see people and you write business. Have multiple revenue streams. That's my best advice.
Yeah, we have this great system called Retire Village, where it's a website that's preloaded with articles and videos. You put your client's name and email address into the database. They automatically get an email every 2 weeks, and you can see what web pages they're going to, and you get a report on your visitors. And then that's all tied in with your social media. We call it our internet reputation asset, because people vet, like,
absolutely.
This did not, people used to look, okay, where's your office? Now they go online and see if you're established online. If you don't cover the entire first page of Google, you don't exist, right? So super, super important. And we take care of that too with the radio. You have a great team. I love talking to your guys over there. They've been so helpful. Anybody that's listening, at the very least, go to Tom's YouTube channel. I mean, there's so much free content there that's going to help you be a better ambassador of this industry. And then why wouldn't you have Tom as part of your team by getting a customized book and using his resources, subscribing to his website and getting all that information. We are certainly big fans of yours and promoters of yours, and I can't say enough about you. Thank you so much for taking your time and spending it with me today. Once again, a highlight on the highlight reel of my career to have you on this podcast.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. Looking forward to seeing you in March.
Yep. See you in March, buddy. Have a great day.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Annuity Agents Podcast with Anthony Owen. For more information on how Annuity Agents Alliance will help you build your annuity business, go to annuityagentsalliance.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please do us a favor and don't forget to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell to be notified of future podcasts. If listening on a podcast channel, please leave your rating and review if you like the show. The information and opinions expressed here by third parties or guests are believed to be reliable, but the information cannot be verified or guaranteed by Annuity Agents Alliance. The opinions of guests do not necessarily represent those of Annuity Agents Alliance or its partners. The prior information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice and is for licensed financial professional use only.